For our intermediate level of the Tableau Conference special, then we have this next input to clean up, which is the room. So we're looking at where are these talks happening, what floors, what rooms are they happening within. So we're going to need to restructure our data a little bit in order to join this on to the previous data. So we're going to need to do a pivot and take these three fields here, so floor 1, floor 2 and floor 3, and we're going to want to pivot them down to rows so that we have information about the floor and the room on the same row. So if we just apply that pivot, then I'm using a wildcard pivot search in order to find all the fields that contain the word floor, and that works as so. You'll notice we have these nulls for where the third floor only has 2 rooms rather than 3. So we can just click on these nulls and say exclude those so that we get rid of them, which is what I've done here. And then we can just rename these 2 fields that we have here. So we'll rename this to be the session and this one to be the floor so that we have our fields all nicely renamed to work with. Next up, we're going to be creating the room number. So what I'm going to do, so in this floor field we had the word floor, space, and then the number that the floor was. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to again make use of these clean functionalities in Tableau Prep, and I'm going to remove the letters. So remove the letters first of all, that gets rid of the word floor. And then what I'm going to do after that is trim the spaces so that I don't have this white space before the number 1. So I trim the spaces as well, and now we're just left with the numbers 1, 2, 3. This is still a string field at the moment, but as I want to now add the floor with a 0 in the middle to the room number, I'm going to leave it as a string, and in fact I'm also going to change the room field to a string as well. Okay, and then I can just write my calculated field, which is floor plus a 0 in inverted commas plus the room number, and then I get my 102 there. So it's on floor 1, but it's in room 2, so 102. Then I've got my session here, and we can see it's got a title for the session, a dash, the initials of the presenter, and then what subject they're presenting on. So we'll do a split here. This time I'm going to use the automatic split, and Tableau Prep is going to be pretty clever. It's going to realise that the dashes are one way of separating, and then the word on is the other way of separating. So let's take a look at how that looks when I apply that. So I've applied those 3 there. And it gets me my 1, 2, 3, so my title, speaker name, and subject, which is pretty clever. And even in the calculation itself, it has the word on there as the separator, so it doesn't just have to be one character for the separator, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to rename those fields, get rid of the original, and then I'm ready to make that join. So when I join this to the previous stream of data, so not from the output step, but from the one just before it, then this is what my join looks like. Initially, my version chose to join just on the subject, so I've just got rid of the other change for you. And it takes my 3 rows that I had at this point and joins them to 10 of the rows that I have from this point. We actually just want there to be 3 rows that are being joined, so we need to include the speaker as a join clause as well. So the subject and the speaker as our join clauses for this step. Because if we just join on the speaker, for example, there are duplicate speaker names where they have the same initials. If we just join on the subject, again, there are multiple people speaking on the same subject, so we need to make sure we have both there. Next up, we need to filter our results to just this second floor. So we have this floor field, which in the next step we can click on the 2 and say keep only, so that we keep just the second floor because we know our speaker is going to be on the second floor. So this leaves us as one result of TP, our very own Tom Prowse is the one that we're wanting to speak to at the conference. So we just need to tidy this up now and get rid of all the unnecessary fields. An easy way to do this can be to switch it over into the metadata view at the top here. And so I just went through and removed anything that I didn't need. And then I'm just left with these 4 fields. And I will make an apology at this stage. In the previous video I did say that we didn't need the session number, but actually we do for the outputs. So I've kept that in. I went back and changed it so that I undid that change where I removed the session number, and now it is back in the dataset. So stay tuned for part 3 of this challenge.